Hello, everybody. Welcome to Dirty Air. I'm your host, Alex Lambert, and let's talk about the 2022 Daytona 500 to kick off the NASCAR season. We have a new winner, a first-time winner, a rookie winner in only his 8th career start. Austin Cindric has won the Daytona 500 in one of the biggest races he's ever going to win in his career. I don't think it'll be his last, but I think it'll be one of the, if not the biggest win that Austin Cindric ever gets in his life, and it just so happens to be the first one. Huge win for Austin Cindric today. I know some fans are going to be upset because it's not a very known driver. Outside of outside of the NASCAR community, nobody really knows who Austin Cindric is. Even some NASCAR fans don't know who Austin Cindric is until now. But I guess everybody knows who he is now. He's your Daytona 500 champion. Wow, he did an incredible job. He didn't look like a rookie out there at all. We see a lot of times at these super speedway races, we see a lot of rookies' mistakes made. We see drivers, pull off bad blocks. We see drivers kind of wreck themselves, take themselves out, make stupid mistakes. Austin Cindric was almost flawless all day long. Didn't get caught up in any trouble. Was able to lead, block Ryan Blaney at the end perfectly. And Cindric did everything he could to win, and just everything played out in his favor, and he did a great job, as well as a bunch of other drivers that finished just right behind him that I'm going to talk about as well. But Cindric did a great job today at Daytona. So congratulations to him on winning that Daytona 500, a huge career milestone for him. But I don't want this to be confused. It's obviously a huge upset in a sense because he is a rookie. This is his 8th career start. But let's not say this is going to be a fluke win. I don't think this is going to be a Michael Mcdowell type situation where that's potentially the only win he gets of his career, or a Trevor Bayne situation, which would be a better example, where this is the only win of Austin Cindric's career. I want to clarify that that's not going to be the case at all. Austin Cindric, for one, we know is a very talented driver. We saw him race last year in the Xfinity Series, did a great job battling all year with Allmendinger, actually almost won the championship at Phoenix in the Xfinity Series last year. It did an incredible job last year, just all around. Was an absolutely very talented driver, and you can tell that, and you can still tell that. Not only that, Austin Cindric raced in 7 NASCAR races in 2021. Most of those were at the road courses, but a few of those do stand out. Daytona, where he did get up front a little bit for just a little while, but he dodged all the wrecks, and he actually made it all the way to almost the end of the Daytona 500 last year, if you guys do remember that. And he also raced at Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas in the rain. Austin Cindric raced around in the rain on slick tires, and he was the last driver to go in to get those rain tires, and he went a few laps later. He went multiple laps later, a little while after everybody else did, and he was able to wheel that car, and he said he was doing fine on the racetrack, and he was running faster, led a whole bunch of laps at COTA last year. And if you also remember, he was actually considered a threat to win at the Road America race on 4th of July weekend last year, if you guys remember that. And then he actually had a mechanical failure where the car failed on him. I want to say he was leading the race, or at least in the top 3. I believe he might have been leading the race when he had that failure, and that took him out of the race. And then, of course, he did fairly decent at the Indianapolis Road Course last year. He's obviously known as a very good road racer. But I just want to mention, Austin Cindric is not going to be a Trevor Bayne type situation. This isn't a Derek Cope. This isn't a Michael McDowell. Not to trash talk Michael McDowell, but Austin Cindric, he's in the 2 car. He drives for Penske. He's going to win multiple races in the future. This is a very good caliber race car driver, and he did everything right today. So don't want to say this is going to be his only win whatsoever. It might be his first win. It might be the only win right now. It could be his only win this season. But moving forward, I really do think the 2 car is going to win a lot more races with Cindric in it. Let's talk about the Fords. The Fords played everything perfect today as well. 7 out of the top 10 are Fords. A couple of the top Ford contenders that were kind of running up there got caught into some trouble. We had, Harvick get caught up in some trouble, Logano get caught up in some trouble. That kind of took them out, and they were really good players. But the Fords just did great. We had Ryan Blaney working very well with Austin Cindric for really the entire final stage of the race, which is why those two were right up there at the front at the end. We saw other drivers like Chase Briscoe do a very good job. And that was interesting. Chase Briscoe did a lot of cool moves as well. If you remember, coming to the end of, I believe it was the 2nd stage of the race, Chase Briscoe actually pulled in front of the leaders, in front of the little train they had going on. He pulled up in front of the leaders before going a lap down, which was really risky, but was able to hold off Logano, and Logano was drafting with him, pushing him there, giving him a bump draft, and he was able to hold him off and hold off Truex and Logano to stay on the lead lap. maybe that wasn't the winning move. He would have got the lucky dog anyway, but that just shows you that these drivers do want to win, and we love to see that in the Daytona 500 and in NASCAR. But the Fords just did exceptionally well. The Fords were way better in the draft than any other car. The Chevrolets just couldn't quite get together, which a lot of those were taken out in the accidents. We had, Larson get taken out in the accident a little bit later on. We had a few major contenders get taken out in that first wreck, like William Byron, Alex Bowman. We know those are, two of the Hendrick cars, the very fast Hendrick cars. So they kind of got taken out early, which kind of messed up their plans a little bit. But the Fords dodged the big wrecks for the most part, at least some of their key players, their fastest race cars, and were able to work together the entire race. And that's why Ford 7 out of the top 10 and won the Daytona 500 today. And they did everything exceptionally well. So I'm not too big on Fords. I mean, I'm not really a Penske fan or anything, but I got to give it to them. They did a great job today. Let's talk about some of the individual drivers. I'm going to show you guys the top 10. Like I said, we had Austin Cindric win the race. Let's talk about Daryl Wallace Jr. That's a Toyota driver, but oh my goodness, he did everything almost perfect to try to win this race. And it's a shame because if Austin Cindric had went just a little bit higher, he could have wrecked himself. Austin Cindric could have wrecked himself or killed a little bit more momentum when he ran into Blaney. Or if there was like another 100 feet to the start-finish line, Bubba Wallace was going to win his second race, and he was going to win the Daytona 500. Bubba Wallace tends to always be up there at these plate races. He's finished second in the Daytona 500 before. I believe it was 2018. He runs well in his dual races. He does pretty good at these racetracks. He won at Talladega last year in a rain-shortened race, but was able to stay up front the whole race. He stayed up front the entire race today, working with Kyle Busch for the entire final stage. That's not easy to do. Kyle Busch was flat out pushing Bubba, and Bubba didn't wreck the car like some other drivers probably would have. Bubba is obviously very good. Maybe not on some of the road courses, maybe not on some of the shorter tracks like the intermediate tracks. But when we go to a super speedway, Bubba Wallace is 100% a threat. He's always running up front, always dodging the wrecks and doing things exceptionally well when we go to these super speedway races. So definitely one to watch when we go back to Talladega. When we go to Atlanta this year, I definitely want to watch him. We'll see how that plays out. They're saying that could potentially be a speedway race. And then, of course, going to Daytona in the summer. Bubba's a huge threat for those races. We got to continue to watch it. And I love to see the passion when he gets out the car. He was obviously upset that he wasn't able to get the win. He was really upset that he wasn't able to get the win because he was so close once again. But if I'm Bubba Wallace Jr., I'm not worried about it at all. I think with you got Kurt Busch coming in, I think he's going to be able to help you. He's already said that there's a few things that he felt that he missed that Kurt Busch is kind of pointing out but helping him with. And then of course you got the best team owners that you can come up with. A great, maybe not a champion yet, but a great race car driver, Denny Hamlin, helping coach Bubba Wallace through his career right now. Then of course you have Michael Jordan, and he knows a lot about winning. So no threat at all for Bubba Wallace. I think potentially could start to run way better going into this year with that second car, with a little bit more experience with this new team. I think that team could run a lot better this year. We'll have to continue to watch that. And of course, when we go to super speedways, we know he's a threat when he goes there. In third place driver, Chase Briscoe. Like I said, I'm making some awesome moves all day. And was able to end up finishing in the top 3 in the 14 car. So a great run to start out Chase Briscoe's career. We'll have to see how that continues to work and see if he can continue to be consistent. I think he's one that can be, but we'll have to see as we continue to move forward. We go to Auto Club next week. We'll see how he runs there. And then, of course, we have Ryan Blaney. Ryan Blaney is another one of those, kind of like Wallace is as well, and Hamlin. Hamlin did get taken out early, but Wallace is Blaney is one of those that is in another one of those exceptionally well super speedway racers. He's almost like a Brad Keselowski 2.0. He's won at Talladega, I believe, 3 times. I believe he's got at least 1 win at Daytona. I have to go back and check the stats to see how many super speedway wins he's got, but I believe he's got at least 4 super speedway wins. Ryan Blaney, man, he is fast. Ryan Blaney is good at these plate races. He knows when to make the right moves. He knows how to make the right moves. And he got a great push from Bubba Wallace there at the end. But Cindric just did a good job by blocking. He went up there. If Cindric hadn't have blocked, Blaney would have won this Daytona 500. Or if Cindric had blocked just a little bit too hard and ended up going too high and slowing his momentum down just a little bit more. I mean, I'm talking like 6 inches higher than he went. He could have been put in the wall, would have slowed his momentum down, where Bubba would have won the race. So Cindric kind of timed that just perfect. He was a sitting duck there, Cindric was, and he was able to hold off both Blaney and Wallace as well. Eric Almirola, his final NASCAR career season, I want to mention him once again. Not an exceptionally well super speedway racer, but he does have a couple super speedway wins. You go back to Daytona 2014 where it was rain shortened. Talladega, I believe that was 2017, 2018 when he won that race. at Talladega. And then, of course, he won at New Hampshire not that long ago. And I think he's won a dual race at Daytona before. I believe he won the dual race last year at Daytona. So Aric Almirola is obviously pretty decent at these restrictor plate races as well, or these super speedway races. I still have to get used to saying that. But not an exceptionally well super speedway racer like I would consider Blaney, Wallace, or Keselowski. Like I would those guys, where they tend to always run up front at the end, or Denny Hamlin, where they always run up front at the end of these super speedway races. So it's kind of sad to see Aric Almirola never get that redemption from the 2018 Daytona 500, which is every time we go down to Daytona in February, that's like the number one thing they ask him about is how he got turned on the last lap in 2018 at Daytona by Austin Dillon. He never gets that Daytona 500 win, but regardless, great career for Aric Almirola, I think. And then, of course, we had Kyle Busch finish sixth. Kyle Busch, man, got involved in the first wreck, but then barely dodges the second wreck that we had. I believe we had that second wreck with 49 laps to go. Then we had another one with under 10 to go. Kyle Busch barely dodges that one. I mean, dodges it by a foot. And then, of course, he dodges the final wreck as well. So great job for dodging the accidents for Kyle Busch. But Kyle had so much damage on the car. He was good in the draft, but I mean, if he had been leading the race, they would have been able to blow right by him way faster than they would have Cindric. With all the aerodynamic damage that he had on the front end of the race car, he had one of the hood flaps essentially ripped off. I think it was still hanging on, which doesn't help if it's still hanging on. Kyle Busch wouldn't have stood a chance. I mean, he would have had to make the move at a perfect time and maybe still wouldn't have even been able to pass the leader, even if he was up there. But Kyle Busch taking a sixth-place finish. He can take that, still looking for that win. He's going for his 18th Daytona 500 in 2023. Hopefully, he'll be there in 2023, but he doesn't win it this year. He doesn't win it in 2018, in 2021. 2022, he doesn't win it with M&M's. So it's a shame as a Kyle Busch fan to not see him win it again. It's kind of getting hard to watch this every year. But at least he was competitive, and I'm super excited for going into this season. Kyle Busch does not need to worry about this at all. First off, sixth place isn't bad. Take the points. Take the points that you get with the sixth place finish. You're going to be kind of higher up in the point standings, and go to Auto Club next week and go into one of his best racetracks. Got his first career win there. Has multiple wins at Auto Club Speedway, so definitely take the momentum for Kyle Busch. Michael Mcdowell always tends to find himself up. You look at the results of a Daytona Talladega race, Michael McDowell always seems to be in the top 10. Seventh place for Michael McDowell, your defending Daytona 500 champ going into today, but he wasn't able to get the job done. We'll have to continue to watch him. Another one of those pretty good restrictor plate racers. Doesn't always super speedway racers. Doesn't always make the right moves at the right time coming to the end, but always is very patient and very conservative, which gets him to the end of these races. Kind of like how Denny Hamlin does it, except Denny Hamlin didn't do it today, which was surprising that he didn't, and then he ended up getting caught in a wreck. So not too sure about what happened there. David Reagan finishing 8th. Brad Keselowski finishing 9th for the first points race in his race car. And, of course, Chase Elliott will round out the top 10. Interesting thing, the Chevrolets didn't have firing problems today. All the Hendrick Chevrolets, where they couldn't get off pit road quite quick enough. Definitely that needs to be looked at as well, because if you're in a race, like in a clutch situation like the championship last season, where you need to get out of pit road just a little bit in front of somebody, and you're stalling on pit road and losing 6-7 spots in a championship race or in a huge race like even just next week, that's obviously a major issue. We got to figure out what's going on there. And then, of course, the wheels falling off with some of the smaller teams. We've got to make sure NASCAR has to make sure that doesn't happen anymore. And obviously there's major penalties for that. Just kind of looking at some of the next-gen things. This is a brand-new race car. We're still figuring it all out. But we cannot have tires flying off today. I know we had a couple of tire issues, but the two at the beginning were a bit concerning. Even though these are smaller teams that maybe didn't put as much money into the car as Joe Gibbs or Hendrick, we still have to make sure those tires aren't flying off, because that can be dangerous for multiple reasons. People in the infield, of course, that'd be very dangerous, like workers, pit crew members, and of course the fans. It's not the safest thing either, and of course it's not the safest thing to have tires flying on the racetrack when you have cars on there going upwards of 190 miles an hour. So definitely just needs to be looked at, maybe just kind of see if there's a way we can make that even just a bit more safer. But if we do go to Auto Club next week, I'm extremely excited. NASCAR is back. The Daytona 500 is now over, but we have started the 2022 NASCAR season. We get our first real taste of what most of the season will be like. We get our first taste of the intermediate package with the next-gen car next week in Auto Club, next week in Fontana, California. I hope you guys tune into that race. From what I'm hearing, there's actually been a increase in ticket sales after the LA Clash, and higher than before as far as ticket sales goes, as we've had the previous 4 years, like 2018, 2019, 2017. We'll have to see when we get there, obviously, if that's true and if that attendance holds up. But we'll definitely see it. I hope it's a pretty good crowd. I know Fontana's one of those pretty big races. Well, the first time we've raced there since 2019, since 2020, due to COVID. So we haven't raced there in quite some time. But it'll be interesting to see what happens next week. There's been talks about, kind of turning this racetrack into a short track auto club. Now there's kind of talk that might not happen, or at least not happen after this year. It's not being advertised as the final race with this configuration, so we'll probably see this configuration, this 2-mile configuration, at least in 2023. Then in 2024, we'll have to look at it and see if it will be a short track by then. But anyway, that's it. That's all there is to talk about. Hope you guys like the video, subscribe. It was a great race today. I hope you guys all enjoyed the race. A pretty great Daytona 500 to watch. It wasn't too long. It wasn't too many wrecks. Obviously, we had a few big ones, but not too many wrecks at the end, at least, to drag out the finish and, a bunch of red flags and stuff. I thought it was a great Daytona 500. I hope you all enjoyed it. But that's it. That's all there is to talk about. And, of course, about us losing the Daytona 500 once again. Let's get rowdy.